Hello students, welcome to the session on Basics of Computer Knowledge. Okay, so as you have seen on the thumbnail, it is related to RRB JE exam in specific. But let me tell you something. You can think of other subjects in different way, but this subject is different from other subjects. I'll tell you why. If you see, the title is Basics of Computer Knowledge. Okay, here our target is not only computer science students. Okay, for computer science students, it gives an idea how to revise or what to revise. How to revise or what to revise. If you are from a non-computer science background, this session will give you what to study or how to study. So, other subjects are very specific to computer science stream, but this particular subject is useful for both computer science student and non-computer science students also. Now I'll tell you why I am saying this sentence. Okay, if you take any competitive exam, even if you are from mechanical, civil, EEE or ECE, there is some section of questions. They are coming from this particular subject. Title can be different, like information technology, or basics of computer knowledge, or computer knowledge, whatever the title it can be, they are expecting some basic knowledge from this computer science subject. Whatever the concepts and content that are being covered in this particular subject from in various competitive exams for CS students and non-CS students, that we are going to discuss in this session. Okay, so that's why I have added this title, Learn Something About Everything. Learn Something About Everything. Hope you understood why I have added this title. It's not about learning the entire computer science. Here we focus on the breadth, not on the depth. Whatever the computer science subjects are there, whatever the basic knowledge required from each computer science subject, that we learn in the breadth first manner, not in the depth manner. Fine? So in the RRB JE, since this session is related to RRB JE, what I'll show you, what are the major topics that they have listed on the syllabus sheet. One is evolution. What do they mean by evolution? How computers are evaluated across the generations. How computers are evaluated across the generations. Let me give you one sentence idea on this topic. Initially, whatever the computers they have made, they automated the process, but they are very expensive. They are very huge. They were very huge, and they were releasing so much of heat, and they consume more energy. And they are more machine friendly than human friendly. After enhancing the computers across different generations, from first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, currently we are targeting for fifth generation, they become more human friendly than machine friendly. So what I'm trying to say, in the evolution of computers, we'll learn how computers are enhanced from oldest version to latest version. This is what we focus in this evolution chapter. And the second chapter is hardware. In this hardware chapter, we will focus on what are the input-output devices, and most frequent and most important question from this particular topic is, they'll just give you a device name. Based on the functionality of device, you should classify it as whether it is an input device or output device. Then other topic is memory. In the memory, the most important topic they were focusing is type of the memory, whether it is sequential or non-sequential. And the other one is, other questions are based on size, like terabyte, megabyte. They are framing some questions on units of the memory, like how do you measure the memory. Fine. The third topic is software. Here, coming to software, the major question they are asking is type of software. Majorly they are classified as system software and application software. The question is very simple. They simply give you a software name. Based on the usage of that software, you should be able to classify whether it is a system software or application software. Fine. And the fourth topic is internet. Fine. So this internet topic, you have so many other subjects in the RRB JE syllabus, like web technology is there, web technologies is there, and data communication networks is there. If you are from a computer science student, trust me, if you have studied computer networks in your graduation, then you can easily answer any question from this topic, because there are no in-depth questions from this particular topic. Okay, so till now we have discussed 2 points. What was my first point? It is not only for computer science student. This particular subject, basics of computer science, is for both CS students and non-CS students. And it's not only for RRB JE aspirants. It is for every competitive exam aspirant. Why? Because in all the exams from this computer science topics, they are asking basic questions. So after analyzing most of the papers, I have segregated or I have chosen some topics where they are focusing on. Fine. So as per RRB JE syllabus, these are the major topics: evolution of computers, hardware, software, and internet. Fine. Then, now what is our strategy while learning this subject? I'll tell you how I am going to take this session forward so that you'll get a clarity. Initially, from each topic, I have listed 4 topics, right? From the each topic, we will see what are the PYQs they are asking. Okay. What I'll do, I'll try to make you understand what are the topics they are focusing on. What we are trying to learn? We are trying to focus on what are the topics that has been asked till now. So after analyzing the pattern, you will get to know they are focusing on some major topics or some major concepts every year. So there is a high chance that they'll ask the question from same topic again and again. And understand this point, I am not saying they repeat the question. I am talking about the area that they are touching. You got my point, right? I am repeating this again. I don't say they'll repeat the same question every year. But whatever the area they are tapping last year, they are tapping this year also. So based on this pattern, what I am trying to do, based on this PYQs, I'll tell you areas to be focused in the syllabus. What are the areas to be focused? Like what is the content you need to revise before going to exam, or what is the content you need to learn if you are a non-CS student, what is the content you need to learn? That's we are going to discuss. After that, we will see some practice questions. Okay. Now I'm repeating what we are going to do. Some PYQs are there. Based on PYQs, we will decide the areas to be focused. What are the major topics in the syllabus that are to be focused? Later, after deciding that, I have made some practice questions. They cover some of the previous year questions, and they also cover what are the questions that can come in upcoming exams. I already told you they are not repeating the question, but they are giving the question from same topic again and again. Okay, let us say if they can make 10 questions from that particular topic, if they have covered 6 questions in the past exam, the remaining 4 questions what they can make, they may ask in the coming exams. That is the simple strategy here. Hope you understood this point. Let us say they have asked who is regarded as the father of computers, right? So the answer is Charles Babbage. Fine. Now, what do I mean by practice here? If you find if you can search in the Google or any other book resource or any resource, if you just find the father of computers is Charles Babbage, that is not enough for your preparation. Fine. Since you are giving this exam, you are giving so many competitive exams, what should be your focus? So they are asking something like father of computers. Fine. If you are writing any competitive exam, while preparing, you should understand the strategy. Next time, they may not ask father of computers. They may ask who is the father of internet, www. Or they may ask who has invented computer. They may change the question. So after reading this question, they have asked this question in RRB JE 2014 Redshift. Fine. But while practicing, what should be your strategy? It is not just revising this question or finding the answer of this question. It is just understanding, okay, this year they have asked father of computers. Now I need to recall or I need to study about all the major contributors or scientists of the computer science. You know Alan Turing? Alan Turing is like Alfred Nobel of computer science. Alan Turing is like Alfred Nobel of computer science. Whoever has given so many contributions in the computer science, they will be given Turing Award. So hope you understood what I am trying to say. It's not about just revising this particular question. When you see this kind of questions, you should be able to revise all the concepts like who is the father of internet, who is Alan Turing. Alan Turing is a major contributor in the computer science. If you can recall this concept, not only this, whenever you see some topic, you should be able to recall all the concepts which are similar to this question. Hope this point is clear for you. I am going for next question now. Then, fifth generation computers are likely to exhibit. Now, try to understand this question. They have asked something about fifth generation computer. In the introduction, I have already told you there are 5 generations of computers. First generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation. Fine. In the each generation, what I'm trying to say now, I can tell you for this particular question, artificial intelligence, heuristic behavior, advanced parallel processing, all of the above. All these are expectations from a fifth generation computer. And in a single word, it should be able to think on its own. It is its expectation. Think on its own. But now, it is not only about revising this particular generation computer. I am clearly telling you there are 5 generations of computers. What are the different questions possible from these generations? That we will see in the next slides. And at the end, I'll give you a conclusion. How to practice this particular topic. Now you have understood. They are asking about some scientists or contributors in the field of computer science. Fine. So when you see this question, you need to recall all this information. Then, what is the next question? In the next question, they are asking some particular question about fifth generation. What I'm telling you. So now you need to recall entire knowledge about all the 5 generations of computers. Let us go through next questions, then you will understand why I am saying this sentence many times. Which of the following computer languages is used for artificial intelligence? Now, in the previous question, they have asked you what is the expectation of 5th generation computer, right? So there you have listed all the 3 expectations: artificial intelligence, heuristic behavior, and advanced parallel processing. In the next question, they are asking what is the computer language that is used for artificial intelligence. So while reading about or while studying about 5th generation computer, you should be able to recall this point also, prologue, that is program logic. Program logic is the programming language that is used for artificial intelligence. Now, look at other languages. One thing for sure, MS Office is not a language, so it cannot be answered at all. This is also one of the things you need to be very careful while solving competitive exams. You can answer any of these languages because all of these are programming languages. But coming to this particular thing, MS Office is not a programming language. It is a application software. So you can answer any of other languages, but you cannot answer this at all because it is not a programming language, first of all. Then Fortran is nothing but formula translation. What is the full form of Fortran? Formula translation. So it is used for research purposes. It is used for research purposes. Then COBOL is common business oriented language. Common business oriented language. Fine. This is not for research purposes, this is for business. The name itself is saying it is for businesses. So if you understand, while solving the first question, I asked you to recall all the content related to 5 generations of computer. While answering the second question, you understood something like, for each purposes we have different languages. In this particular question, they have asked about artificial intelligence, that's why I have chosen Prolog. But if they ask about research purposes, then you should choose Fortran. Because Fortran is formula translation which is used for research purposes. If they ask about business purposes, then you should choose COBOL. That is common business oriented language. So what I am trying to say here, while practicing any of these basics of computer knowledge kind of subjects, after learning one question, you should frame your own questions. Okay, what can be the other questions that can be asked from this topic, and try to search answers for those questions. Fine. So here, initially we are focusing on what to study for this particular subject. So what I am telling you, if you see one question like this, try to frame all the questions which are based on this topic. In the similar way, this is related to programming languages and their uses. So based on the purpose of the task, we choose the programming language. Fine. We'll go for the next question. Then, who is considered as the father of the computer? Okay, and this is the question that is repeated again. The first question was also based on the same concept. They have asked who is the father of the computers. Here also they have asked father of the computers. That's why I'm saying, if they are bored of this question, because they have already asked this 2 times, next time they may ask about Alan Turing, or they may ask about some other scientist who is popular in computer science. Fine. So you should be able to understand all these scientists, what are their contributions, what are their specialty in this particular domain, that you need to understand. Fine. Then, what is the name given to the molecular scale computer? Just see this. Here, we are not focusing on any particular generation. We are just focusing on these computers. like based on the size of the computer or capacity of the computer or performance of the computer, we'll classify them as this. Okay. So my strategy is very simple while solving these kind of questions. First, we'll solve this question. So molecular scale computer is nothing but nano computer. So 10 power minus 9. If it is 10 power minus 15, it is even smaller than molecular. It will be considered as femtocomputer. Supercomputer is based on the performance. It gives high performance. Okay. And this microcomputer is related to 10 power minus 6 size. Okay. So what I'm trying to say, here they have mentioned molecular scale computer, that's why I have chosen nano computer. If they mention something smaller, even smaller than nano computer, then we should go for femtocomputer. If they go for the performance, then we should choose supercomputer. If they go something bigger than nano computer, then we should go for microcomputer. So our strategy is very simple. While solving any questions, we should be able to understand other options also. And we should be able to focus on the topic they are touching. Okay. Next year, they don't repeat the same question, but there are high chances that they repeat, so they give same question from this particular topic. Right? We'll go for the next question. UniVac and AnyVac computers are examples of the. Now, just try to understand this question. In the 5th generation computer, what was their question? What are the expectations of 5th generation computer? In this question, what they are asking? They have given two computer names and both of them are related to 1st generation computer. It is just a memory based question. But what you need to understand from this session? So, in the next year, in this year, what they have given two computer names and they asked for which generation they belongs to. Okay, computers are examples of the 1st generation computer. What was the previous question? They have given 5th generation computer and they have asked for what is the expectation from 5th generation computer. Now, you frame another question. What are the examples of 5th generation computer? Right? Or what are the examples of 4th generation computers? Or what are the expectations from 4th generation computer? Hope you understood what I am trying to say. This year they have given examples from the 1st generation computer. Next year they may give 2 example computers from 2nd generation, 2 example computers from 2nd generation. They ask the same question. They give some 2nd generation computer as the example name and they ask computers are examples of the. Then you should be able to understand, okay, these 2 names are not there in 1st generation computer. These 2 computers are from 2nd generation computers. That's why I need to choose the 2nd generation computer as the answer. Fine? Then, integrated circuits are used in. Now, let me tell you, I have already told you there are 5 generations of computer. Okay? In the 1st generation, we have used vacuum tubes. These are very huge, expensive and release so much heat. In the 2nd generation computer, we have used transistors. In the 3rd generation computer, we have used microprocessors. Okay? In the 4th generation computer, we have used VLSI. In the 5th generation computer, we are using ULSI. All these are basic blocks. This is what I am trying to explain from the starting of the session. In this particular question, they have asked where the integrated circuits are used. Fine? Sorry for this. In the 2nd generation, we have used integrated circuits. Then we have used transistors. Fine? Here we have used integrated circuits. Here we have used transistors. Fine? Like this. So try to understand. In the different generations of computers, they have used different basic blocks. You hope you understood this point. What I am trying to say. So they have asked about integrated circuits in this question. Next year, they may ask about vacuum tubes. Okay. So what you need to understand here, okay, this year they asked about the vacuum tubes. So this year they asked about the integrated circuit. You will mark something as the answer. Next year, they may ask the same question by replacing integrated circuits with vacuum tubes. But what is the as a student, what is the thing you need to learn? Okay, they have asked about basic blocks of a particular generation. So from each generation, I need to understand what are the basic blocks of each generation. This is what you need to understand. Fine? Then, transistors were used in. I told you, in the previous year, they have asked about integrated circuits. So this year, they are asking about transistors. Next year, they may ask about vacuum tubes, like this. Hope you got this point. So at the end of this particular topic, evaluation of computers, I'll give you a practice table where you can recall all the required concepts. Okay? Just look at this question. Which of the following is India's first 3D printed humanoid robot? Okay? Here they are focusing on 3D printed humanoid robot. Okay? The answer is Manav. But it is not enough for preparation. It is not enough for preparation. The first you need to understand whether other names are related to robotics or not. Then, if it is related to robotics, is the sentence in the question is related to that robot or not? Okay. Kempa is a assistant in airport. Assistant in airport. You can find this Kempa in Bangalore airport. Okay. What does it do? When you go for airport, it just assists you. It is like it acts like a human, but it is a robot. So where do you find Kempa? It is a air hostess assistant. Okay. It is like a air hostess. Now try to understand this. This year they have asked about a robot which is a 3D printed humanoid robot. Because of this particular line, I have chosen Mano as the answer. Fine. Then next year they may ask like which robot works as assistant in airport. Then you should be able to choose this Kempa as the answer. If you just study that, okay, Mano is a 3D humanoid robot, it doesn't help you in the next year exam because they have already asked this question. They may not be interested to ask this question again. Next year they may ask you question about Kempa, or next year they may ask you question about Indro, or next year they may ask you question about Daksh. Okay, then Daksh is like, you know, when bomb squad find any bombs or something, they need to dismantle them, otherwise they may explode. So this Daksh is a robot which DRDO has created. What it can do? It is a robot which can dismantle flammable items or bombs. So what is the advantage here? If a human tries to dismantle or dispose a bomb, if it explodes during the process, we lose a valuable human life. If you use robot instead of a human, you can save the life of a human. You got the point, right? So if they ask what is the robot that can dismantle the bombs, then instead of Kempa and Mano, you will choose Daksh as the answer. Because you have already, now you know Daksh is a robot which can dismantle the bombs. Next, Indro is a robot, and there is an interesting story behind it. The person who has made it has inspired from a movie which is done by Rajinikanth. He has watched that movie, and from the human generated waste, human generated electrical waste, he has created this gadget. Okay. So this Indro is being developed by Indian. Okay, how he has inspired from a movie called Robo, which is done by Rajinikanth. How he has generated it? He doesn't do anything costly. He has thought out of the box. He has just used the electronic gadgets which are generated by human electrical waste. He has made this Indro. So what I'm trying to say here, while solving this question, there are two ways. One is just search this particular line in the Google. Okay, there is a 3D printed humanoid robot. That's name is Mano. In this way also you can do it, but it doesn't help you in the preparation. What should be your preparation? Okay, let us check about other options also. Kempa is also a robot which works in an airport. Then Daksh is also a robot which can dismantle bombs. Then Indro is also a robot. It is being designed from electrical waste. Got the point, right? If you prepare in this way, the advantage is in the next year, 90% of the time they don't focus on the Manav again because they have already asked this question. They may ask question from any of the other options. Then you will be able to score that mark. Even 1 mark matters a lot. Fine. Then the first computer made available in commercial use was. Now, just think logically. Let us say if you have, I told you there are 5 generations of computer: first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation. Okay. One thing you need to focus on: what are the basic blocks that are used in each generation. Another thing is what are the example computers of that particular generation. Then how speed has affected, how performance has affected. Okay, these are the things you need to focus on each and every generation. Fine. Now if you know the example computers of each generation, let us say if the question paper setter has given 3 computers from other generations. Okay, let us say this computer is from second generation, this computer is from third generation, this computer is from fourth generation. So to be specific, it is from first generation. I am just giving you an example. Now, if you know all these computers are from different generation, what is the logic? If it is the first computer, it should be from first generation. If you know this UNIVAC is a first generation computer, then you can easily answer this question even if you don't know the answer. Why? Because second generation computer cannot be the first computer, third generation computer cannot be the first computer, fourth generation computer cannot be the first computer. The first generation computer only can be the first computer. So what I'm trying to say, if you can remember all the example computers of each generation, if the options are given like that, other computers are from different generations, only one option is from first generation, then you can easily choose the first generation computer which is in the option will be the first ever computer. Okay. For this particular question, the answer is first UNI VAC. It is a first generation computer. And ENI AC is also first generation computer, but compared to ENI AC, UNI VAC has been invented first. Fine? Then, now, I already told you, my strategy is very simple. Now, after looking at those questions, just recall these points. Most of the time, they are focusing on, in the evolution of computers chapter, what they are focusing on, we have 5 generations of computer. We have basic blocks in each computer. We have example computers in each generation. How speed is affected, how performance is affected. What are the expectations from each generation computer? Those are the things that we need to recall. So based on that, what I have done for this particular chapter, it's not only solving previous year questions. What are the possible questions that can come in coming years? You got the point, right? Based on that concept, I have made this table. See, look at this table. So, what we are going to fill in the first generation computer, what are the basic blocks that we are going to use? What are the years that are active? Okay, this point they haven't touched till now, but in the future they may touch. This is what I'm saying. See, one thing is for sure, they are interested in the evolution of computers chapter, what they are interested? They are interested in 5 generations of computer. What is the knowledge that we need to gain from these 5 generations of computer that I have made in this table? So let us practice this particular table so that it can help you in gain the marks in the future exams. Fine? So why I have made this table, I'm telling you again. What we have done, we have gone through some previous year questions. Then we understood that, okay, they are focusing on different generations of computers. Fine? So in each generation, what I need to learn, what are the basic blocks that have been used in that particular generation, what are the years that computer has been in active, and what are the type of operating systems. Till now they haven't asked any question from this particular topic, but I have listed it here. Why? Because they are interested in generations of computers. So you need to learn the required knowledge or related knowledge related to all the generations of the computer. That's why I have added this particular column here. Then speed and reliability. Okay, obviously if you are enhancing the computers, speed and reliability will increase from the first generation to 5th generation. Fine? And if they talk about heat generated, the first generation create more heat compared to any other generation. Okay, so it will decrease. If you talk about any negative thing, that is heat or something, it will decrease. Okay, that's why it will be high for first generation computer and low for second generation computer. So if you talk about heat kind of negative things, are time consuming or expensive, okay, cost. If you talk about heat and cost, they will be more expensive or they release more heat in the earlier generations. But in the current generations, they will release less. But if you talk about positive things like speed and reliability, they will be less in earlier generations, but they will be more in current generations. Why? Because we try to enhance our computers. Okay. So let us start filling this table. So they'll come in a random manner. Okay. So first I'll ask you, what are the basic blocks that have been used in first generation computer? Then the answer is, sorry for this, vacuum tubes. I already told you, in the each generation we need to understand what are the basic blocks. So while answering this question, you should recall all other concepts. What are the basic blocks in second generation? What are the basic blocks in third generation? What are the basic blocks in fourth generation? What are the basic blocks in fifth generation? These are the things you need to recall. Fine. If you see here, type of OS. So the question in the exam, the question can be asked in this way: what is the type of OS that is being used in fifth generation computer? So you can answer it artificial intelligence based or parallel computing based. Fine. Now the next question is, what is the basic block of second generation computer? The answer is transistors. And this particular question has been asked in the previous year also. That's what I'm saying. So they have asked question about transistors this year, but in the next year they may ask question about what are the basic blocks that are used in first generation. So we have practiced that as well. Fine. Then now they are asking, what is the type of OS that is being used in 4th generation computer, then real-time or distributed operating system. Fine, real-time or distributed operating system. So what do you mean by real-time? If you submit a task, if it has to be completed in strict deadline, like rocket launching, any strict deadline tasks are there, they will be considered as real-time. Like you don't expect or you don't want any delay to be done. If it has to be completed at 9:01, there shouldn't be any microsecond or millisecond difference also. You got the point, right? So real-time means very strict deadline computer. It cannot delay any process. Fine? Then, so they may ask some question like this: when were the 3rd generation computers were active? So the years active in the 1965 to 71, the 3rd generation computers have been used. Fine? Then, when were the 1st generation computers were active? From 1946 to 1959, 1st generation computers were active. Then, what is the type of operating system that is being used in 1st generation computer? That is batch OS. Okay, let me tell you how batch OS works. Currently, if you submit 4 tasks at a time, okay, let me arrange the things on the board. Fine. If you submit 4 tasks at a time, in the current processors, we are having different CPUs. Okay, if you see here, CPU 1 is there, CPU 2 is there, CPU 3 is there, CPU 4 is there. So all these processes will be assigned to different processors. They can multitask. This is the capacity of current processors. But in the initial days, we used to have only one processor. Okay, here job 1, job 2, job 3, job 4. Okay, initially job 3 will be submitted to processor. Other jobs will be waiting in the queue. Okay, it's not about it. It's not that job 3 or job 1. One job will be submitted to processor. While processor is serving to this particular job, other jobs will be waiting in the queue. Okay, so all these processes will be known as batch. If there are some other process which have less priority, let us say S1, S2, S3. So these have been kept in different queue because these have different priorities. All these will be considered as different batch. It's not only about priority, it's based on the type of job also. So based on the type of job or priority of the job, what we'll do? We'll just group the jobs and we'll call each group as the batch. That's why this particular operating system is known as batch operating system. I'm repeating this point again. We'll combine all the jobs based on the type of the job or priority of the job. And we'll call each group as the batch. For this reason, this particular operating system is known as batch operating system. Fine. Then, what can be the question? When the 2nd generation computers were active? So the answer is 1959 to 1965. Fine. Then, what are the basic blocks that have been used in 3rd generation computer? So the answer is integrated circuits. In the 4th generation computer, they have used VLSI, that is very large scale integrated circuits. So they have taken integrated circuits only, but integrated circuits can contribute to computation power. So what they have done? They have taken more integrated circuits and they try to place it on a single chip. What is the strategy? One integrated circuit can give you some computation power. If you can place more integrated circuits on a single chip, you can generate more computing power. They have understood this thing and they have kept so millions and millions of integrated circuits on a single chip to produce more computing power. So that's how they have created this 4th generation computer. Fine. Then, now in the 5th generation computer, they have used ultra large scale integrated circuits. So they have used the same strategy. If they have used millions here, they have used trillions here. You understood the strategy, right? From the 2nd, 3rd generation onward, what they are doing, then they are using the integrated circuits only. But how many number of integrated circuits they are using? Based on that number, they have increased the computing power and they have moved from one generation to another generation. Fine. So what you need to understand, in the 3rd generation also integrated circuits were there. In the 4th generation also integrated circuits were there. In the 5th generation also integrated circuits were there. But where they are differing? Here integrated circuits are in hundreds. In the next generation, they moved to millions. In the next generation, they moved to trillions. What is the advantage they are getting? By increasing the number of integrated circuits that can be placed on a chip, they are increasing the computing power. And the 5th generation computers are current computers. Okay, they are currently developing 5th generation computers. Before that, they were using 4th generation computers. Fine. Then, in the 2nd generation computer, they were using time sharing systems. So, what do I mean by time sharing systems? Okay. Let us say there are 3 jobs, J1, J2, J3, and there is a processor. What this processor does? It will take the first job, it will serve for some time, and it will move this first job to waiting queue. Then it will take the second job, it will serve J2 for some time, and it will move it to waiting queue again. Same thing with J3 also, it will move it to job queue again. Now, it will check whether J1 has left with some task or not. If J1 is still left, it will give the second chance to J1. Later, it will give the second chance to J2. It will give the second chance to J3. While giving the second chance, if the person doesn't need it, they will not participate. If they need it, they will again participate. Okay. Here, what we are doing? Here, we are sharing the time among all the jobs. That's why these particular computers are known as time sharing systems. So, what is the type of OS that is being used in 3rd generation computer? That is multi-programming. Fine. So, what you need to understand here? What is our strategy? We have seen some of the previous year questions that have been asked from this evolution of computers. Then what we have understood? We have understood that, okay, even though they are not repeating the questions, they are focusing on sole topic. What was the topic? What are the properties of all the 5 generations of computer? So, how we did our practice? We have taken all the 5 generations of computer and we have collected all the vital information that is related to each generation. What is the vital information here? What are the basic blocks used in that particular generation? What were the years that the particular generation computers were active? What was the type of operating system that particular the generation was using? And what was the speed and reliability of that particular generation? Fine. Then, this is one kind of practice. If you see, apart from that 5 generations of computers thing, there is one thing, they are asking about the example of each generation. See, here I have listed so many computer names. Okay. Sir, why you have listed these many computer names? If you remember, they have asked this question, this is the first ever computer that has been generated, ENI AC. Fine. Next year, instead of ENI AC, they may ask any of these questions, and here each computer is related to some particular generation. You got my point, right? Here I have listed more than 20 computer names. What is your task here? Okay, let me tell you something. Before this, I'll strongly suggest you to take the screenshot of this particular table. It will help you a lot. Okay, it will help you a lot because they are asking questions from this particular concept, and I tried to cover each and every aspect of these 5 generations of computers. If you take screenshot of this particular thing, it will help you before the exam. You can revise these concepts easily. Otherwise, for this particular cell information, you may need to search in some website. For this particular cell information, you may need to search in some other website. If you want to answer what is the type of operating system in 3rd generation computer, you have to go to different resources. But what is the advantage of this particular table? This resource is self-sufficient to recall all the concepts that are useful for exam. Fine. Same thing do with this also. You see here what I told you, these are the popular computer names across each generation. These are the popular computer names across each generation. Okay. What is our practice? After looking at a computer name, you should be able to recognize its generation. After looking at a computer name, you should be able to recognize its generation. Or if they give you some generation name, you should be able to list all the computer names which are part of the generation. I am repeating it again. There are 2 things. One is, if they give you a computer name, you should be able to give its generation. If they give you a generation, you should be able to give example computers of that generation. If you do this practice, trust me, you can get 1 mark easily. They have already given this question twice or thrice. What is their simple strategy? They'll just give you one computer name. They'll ask you for the generation. Or they may give which of the following computers belong to 2nd generation, or which of the following computers belong to 1st generation, like this. Fine. So, task is very simple here. Just take the screenshot of these computer names. What should be your plan? Simple. Just look at this computer name. Try to understand or try to find out from which generation this computer belongs to. Fine. See, here for your practice purpose, I have given a matching kind of thing here. So, let us say we have listed 5 computer names here. Okay. So, since ENI AC is 1st generation computer, it will be mapped to this arrow mark. Okay. This arrow mark is for first generation computer, this arrow mark is for second generation computer, this arrow mark is for third generation computer, and this arrow mark is for fourth generation computer, and this one is for fifth generation. I have listed 5 computers here, okay? There can be multiple computer names in each generation. For this practice purpose, what I have did, I have taken one computer name from each generation. If I click, let us say ENIAC, okay, Chromebook is a computer name which belongs to 5th generation. Chromebook is a computer name which belongs to 5th generation. That's why Chromebook has been placed in 5th generation computer. In the same way, if I click here, what will happen? You can see ENIAC, it is the first ever computer that has been invented. It is related to first generation. That's why ENIAC has been transferred to first generation. Then IBM 701, okay? And now, just try to understand this. In the previous slide, there were different numbers along with the IBM X. X means X has different values. And if you observe, 701 belongs to second generation. If the suffix is different, the computer can be belongs to some other generation. What I'm trying to say, just by looking at the IBM name, you cannot decide the generation. Why? IBM is continuously striving to enhance their computers. So they release different versions. Just by looking at the company name, you cannot decide the generation name. Here IBM 701 belongs to second generation. If the model number is different, even though IBM title is there, it may belongs to some other generation. Fine? Then TDC 316 is related to third generation. Then CRA 1, this is related to fourth generation. Okay? So here what we have done, we have taken 5 different computer names, we tried to map them with their generations. But what I am trying to say here, it's not about only those 5 computers. I have listed nearly more than 20 computers here. You should be able to recognize all these computer names and their generations. I can give you the mapping, but it doesn't allow you to study more. Just take the screenshot of these computer names and try to find out where these computers, what is the generation of each computer. That's the way you can recall the concepts and revise the concepts. Fine? So, as I already told you, evolution of computers mostly focusing on different generations of computer and examples of computers. Fine? So, before going to hardware, let me revise this evolution of computers. So you just try to understand one thing. The first topic is evolution of computers. What are the areas you need to focus? First generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation. What are the basic blocks that are being used in each generations? Fine. What are the years that they have been active? What are the example computers of each generation? What is the speed and performance of each generation? And what is the type of operating system that has been used in each generation? Okay? And apart from this, they are asking about some latest technology, robot and their features. Okay? If you see that particular question, we have discussed Kempa, Indra, Daksh, and one more robot is there. Let me recall. ISRO has created one more robot called Vyomamitra. Okay? So Vyom means sky, okay, or space. So Vyomamitra is a robot which has been created by ISRO for the space travel. Fine? So what I'm trying to say, after analyzing the previous year questions, you need to understand what are the areas they are focusing on. Then only you can predict the future questions and answer them. Fine? So in the evolution of computers, I think I have listed all the major topics that need to be covered. What are the major topics? Generations of computers, and this knowledge about each and every generation of the computer, and they are asking about some popular robots and their features. Okay? I gave you the examples of five robots, I guess. You may search about other robots also. Okay? These are the 5 robots very famous, that's why I have discussed about them. So if you want to gain more knowledge, you can search about other practical robots. There is a robot called Sophia also. It is a very popular robot across the world. Fine? So this is the way you need to study this topic. In the next question, in the next chapter also we'll follow the same strategy. So the chapter is PYQ on hardware. Okay? Here also what we'll do, we will see some previous year questions. Then we will understand what are the areas to be focused. At the end, based on the areas to be focused, we will do some practice. This practice will help you in two things. One is revising previous year questions, predicting upcoming questions. Revising previous year questions and predicting upcoming questions. So based on our flow, what is our next first step? We should go through some previous year questions. Then we'll understand, okay, these are the areas that they are focusing on. So let us practice on these areas. That is our strategy. Fine. So evaluation of computers is done. So we have seen some previous year questions. We understood what are the areas to be focused and we have practiced those areas. In the same way, we are going to learn hardware also. Then we are going to learn software also. We are going to learn internet also. So let us focus on the hardware now. Then OCR stands for, okay, it is a technology which is based on some hardware. Okay. So optical character recognition is the technology name. Even though it is looking so fancy, have you filled OMR sheet where you bubble the option? Let us say 4 options are there. If you fill B as the answer, you will bubble this. Now system understands that since the student has bubbled this particular B option, he is considering B as the answer. Okay, how it is doing? The hardware is reading, okay, this bubble is marked. So that means he is considering B as the answer. Let me evaluate whether B as the answer or not. Okay. So whatever the technology that is being used for this OMR sheet is optical character recognition. Fine. Then while answering these questions, you should be able to recall different things. QR codes, barcodes. You understood my strategy, right? It is very simple. This year they have asked about OMR sheet. Next year they may ask about QR code, barcode or UPI. Because all these are similar technologies. All these are similar technologies. What is the technology? They'll give some code which is not human readable, but it contains some information in it. Fine. What is full form of UPI? Unified payment interface. What are the barcodes? They use some bar kind of things which have different thicknesses, and QR codes that has some random image which cannot be understood by human but can be read by QR code scanners. Fine. So our strategy is very simple. Whenever you see some question like this, it is not only about recalling or understanding that question. You should be able to understand the area where they are focusing on. This year they have focused on OCR. Next year they may focus on QR codes, barcodes or UPI. Fine. Next question. Speaker is an example of. In the starting of the session, I already told you the most famous question from this particular topic is they give you a device. They'll ask you whether it is an input device or output device or both. This is a very popular question from this particular topic. Or what is the other possibility? What is the other possibility from this question? They may give you question like which of the following is a input device. How they will give the options? They will give 3 options as output devices but give 1 option as input device. Fine. So 2 possibilities are there. They will give you a device, they ask you to categorize it. Otherwise, they'll give you some options as devices as some options, and they'll ask you to find which of the following is input device. Fine. Speaker is an example of, okay, whichever the device that gives output, that will be considered as output device. So here, speaker is example of output device. But are all the speaker output devices? No. If they give any smart speaker name, like Alexa, which is being produced by Amazon, or any smart speaker, if they give some example device as smart speaker, it acts as both input and output. Why? Because it takes some command from the human voice and it reacts to it. So it is taking input from the human and it is giving some output. In that case, it is both input and output device. But here they haven't mentioned any smart speaker. They have just mentioned a normal speaker. So we consider this normal speaker as output device. But if it is a smart speaker, the answer should be both input and output device. Fine. Then codes consisting of light and dark marks which may be optically read. I already told you barcode. Because here they are mentioning light and dark codes. If you see barcodes, okay, how they will be? There will be a thin line, there will be a thick line, in between there will be gaps like this, right? So light and dark marks, they are considering these empty spaces are light marks and these bars as dark marks. Okay. So I already told, that's what I'm trying to say. In the first question, they have asked about OMR sheet, but here they have asked about barcodes. So next year they may ask about QR codes. Next year they may ask about UPI, because all these technologies are similar. You got the point, right? If they ask some question about this particular technology this year, next year they may ask about similar technology. That's why I'm asking you to recall all these concepts while solving this question. Then, which of the following either are the basic units of your IIS computer? Okay. So it is related to hardware. You know, input is there, output is there. But how we are getting input from the output? We'll give it to some CPU. Fine. So this is the basic block diagram of any computer. Now, what they are asking, what are the basic units of IIS computer? So input output devices, central processing unit, main memory unit. Okay, and this CPU is connected to some memory, right? Otherwise, where will CPU store the content that it has to operate? Fine. So in the basic IIS computer, input devices will be there, output devices will be there, and processor will be there. And to store the content for the processor, we use main memory. Fine. And main memory may take help from secondary memory also, some hard drive or something. Okay. But in the basic computer, these contents will be there. So answer is very simple. It consists of input devices, output devices. It consists of main memory. It consists of central processing unit also. Fine. So all of the options is the answer. Fine. Next year, they may ask about the subunits of CPU. What are the subunits of CPU? That is ALU, CU, arithmetical logical unit and control unit. They may ask you about the functionality of subunits also. What is the functionality of control unit? What is the functionality of arithmetical logical unit? You got the point, right? And CPU may consist of registers also. So what I am trying to understand here, this year they have asked the entire basic block diagram. Next year, in this basic block, there are some sub-blocks also. Like CPU has ALU and CU and registers also. So they may ask you questions from this entire block diagram. It's not only recalling the question they have asked. It's about recalling all the concepts that are related to this particular block diagram. Fine. Then select the smallest memory size. Okay, and this is also very popular concept here. What is the thing here? The smallest unit is bit, that is 0 or 1. If you take 4 bits, that will be considered as nibble. If you take 8 bits, that will be considered as byte. Now, if you take 1024 bytes, that will be considered as 1 kilobyte. Then, if you take 1024 kilobytes, that will be considered as 1 megabyte. If you consider 1024 megabytes, that will be considered as 1 gigabyte. If you consider 1024 gigabytes, it will be considered as 1 terabyte. Fine. So if you observe here, while solving this question, after comparing all these things, I can easily understand KB is smaller than any other option. But it's not only about that. You need to recall this entire concept. The smallest unit is bit, but in these particular options compared to all other 3 options, the smallest unit is kilobyte. That's why I have chosen kilobyte. Let us say if they mention byte in one of the in these options, then I shouldn't choose kilobyte, because byte is smaller than kilobyte. Got the point, right? So while solving this question, what I need to recall, apart from answering this particular question, I need to recall this entire scaling. Then only my practice is perfect. Otherwise, you may not be able to answer new questions from this particular topic. Okay, let us see if any comments are there in my mobile. So I can reply them. If I find any comments in my mobile, I can reply them in the live chat. Just get my mobile once. So we are continuously discussing. Let us try to focus on the replies also. Fine. Okay. I think IPL is going, that's why no comments are there. If I find any comments, I'll try to give answers to them. Fine. Then, let us go to next question. The mouse pointer moves erratically. If you see, the topic is related to hardware. So, it can be about any device. So, they may ask you questions related to keyboard also. They may ask you question related to mouse also. They may ask you question related to scanner also. Fine. If you see here, the mouse pointer moves erratically. What is the possible cause? Ball is dirty. This is the possible cause. Okay. If the mouse is not connected, cursor will not be displayed at all. Okay. If the mouse is not installed, then also cursor will not be displayed. In the both cases, cursor will not be displayed at all. But if the cursor is displayed, if it is moving erratically, the reason is the mouse ball is dirty. And in the most recent mouses, we are not using ball at all. We are using some laser light kind of thing. Okay. But if it is using ball and if the ball is dirty, then what can be the cause? So what can be the consequence? The mouse pointer moves erratically. Fine. Then what is the use of output device? To store the data, we use memory. To view or print the data, we use output device. To scan the data, we use input device. Fine. To input the data, we use input device. So C and D are purposes, jobs of input devices. And to store the data, we use memory. To view or print the data, we use output device. So since they are asking about output device, the answer should be B here. Right? Which of the following key is a navigation key? I already told you. Earlier they asked about the mouse. Now they are asking about the keyboard. Next year they may ask about the monitors also. What are the different monitors? What are the different printers? What are the different scanners? They may ask you about these concepts also. You got my point, right? It's not only about answering the existing questions. It's about recalling the every concepts that are possible in this discussion, from this particular topic. Fine. So navigation keys are related to arrow marks. Fine. So page up, page down are 4 navigation keys. Like arrow marks are related to navigation keys, and all others are not navigation keys. Fine. Then a pixel is here. In the previous slide, I have shown you how bit, byte, nibble, kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte are related. Here it is related to screen resolution. Pixel is a computer program that draws a picture. No, it is not a software. A picture stored in secondary memory. No. The smallest resolvable, see the smallest resolvable memory unit is bit, but the smallest resolvable picture is pixel. Fine. Then 1 gigabyte, I already told you it is related to 1024 megabytes. In the previous slide, I have already explained you this concept. The secondary storage device that follows the sequential mode of access is magnetic tape. Okay. What do you mean by sequential access? If the data is stored in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 manner, before accessing 4, I need to access all the 3. Then only I can access 4. This is sequential access. What is the random access? If I want to access 4, I don't need to access all the previous things. I can directly go to 4. So magnetic tape will store the content in such a way, before accessing the fourth thing, we need to access all the previous things. Fine? Then, okay, this is the practice we can done. Simple thing. After looking at previous year questions, you understood one thing. They are focusing on the type of the device. So I have displayed some devices here. They will be mapped to their particular type. So smart speaker, I already explained you. It is both input and output device. That's why smart speaker has been placed to moved to that place. Then monitor is a output device. It cannot do input thing. Touch screen, it is both. See the difference between monitor and touch screen. They both are similar, but monitor cannot take input from the user, but touchscreen take input from the user. Both can display the output. That's why it has been placed in the both. Touchscreen can take input also, output give output also, but monitor can take input but cannot give output. Fine. Then scanner is a input. It cannot take out. It cannot give output. Keyboard is a input device, and printer is a output device. Fine. Then look at this one, sequential and random memory. I already told you what is the difference between sequential memory and random memory. So here I have mapped some devices. Since magnetic disk is we can do random memory access, it has been moved to random memory access. Magnetic tape is a sequential memory access device. That's why it has been moved to that place. Now ROM we can do random memory access. That's why it has been moved to this place. Fine. And memory sizes, I have already told you this entire concept. how memory things are related. Okay, this is the thing. After terabyte, there is petabyte and exabyte also. Same relation, 1024. If you multiply 1024 gigabytes, it will give you terabyte. If you multiply 1024 terabyte, it will be petabyte. If you multiply 1024 petabyte, it will be exabyte. Okay, so now I understood one thing. In this 1 hour, I can give you a clarity what to study and how to study. And I told you there are 4 subtopics. What are those subtopics? Evolution of computers, hardware, software, and internet. So I gave you a strategy. That is, we see previous year questions. Then we understand what are the areas to be focused. Then we have done some practice on that particular area. Okay. With this strategy, we have completed evolution of computers and hardware also. Fine. And AS Academy has launched a course for this particular RRB JE. For every subject, there are 14 subjects, and one of them is basics of computer science. Now, if you understand, we have followed this strategy. We have gone through each and every previous year question. We understood the areas to be focused, and we have delivered the content which is much related to this preparation. Okay. If you understand what are the areas to be focused, that is more than 70% of the task. Okay. Remaining 30% is revising and understanding those topics. In this particular thing, our RRB JE course, which is launched by AS Academy, will help you for sure. Because just by looking at these particular sentences, in the syllabus sheet, they just mention evolution, they just mention hardware, software, and internet. By just looking at this particular sentence, you cannot predict what can be asked. You cannot predict what can be asked. If you take our RRB JE course, which is launched by AS Academy, it can be the best ever resource. Let me tell you why. If you want to learn something about the hardware, the first problem is you don't understand what are the areas to be focused. Here, our course, which is self-sufficient for the preparation, will help you. Hope you understood the point. Since we cannot continue the session is for 1 hour, I have already gave you the strategy and implementation for evolution of computers and hardware. You can apply the same strategy for software and internet. To apply the same strategy for these two topics, you can take the help from our RRB JE course. And if you feel that is not the only source I am saying, but it can be the best source that you can take. Why? Because we have done this work for you. We have gone through the previous year questions, we understood the areas to be focused, and we made our content based on this strategy. So if this work is completed by your trainer, this can be done by you. If you don't take our course, you can do all the 3 tasks. Okay? Since we have already done first 2 tasks, you can do the 3rd task, being a student. Fine? Now let me check if any queries are there. Fine? If any queries are there, I can answer them. Okay, I don't find any queries. They are not updated here, or no one has commented. Anything can be possible. But my suggestion is very simple. I have given you a strategy. What is the thing? Go through the previous year questions, understand the areas to be focused, and practice. If you take our RRB JE course, what is the advantage? We have already done both the tasks. Like we have gone through the previous year questions, we understood the areas to be covered, and we have delivered the content. If you focus on that content, you can only practice for your exam. That's why it helps you. Fine? Thank you.